Welcome to On This Day. Who knew that the 4th of March used to be the American president inauguration? Well, you were about to discover that it was for very, very many. Some went for the 5th because it landed on a Sunday, but there you go. We're going to go through those shortly. We're also going to look at births, deaths, and what happened in other parts of the world other than just Americans being inducted as the next president. So let's get started. Quick coffee. Let's begin. So, who was born? Well, Antonio Vivaldi, the virtuoso violinist, virtuoso and composer, the full season. You know, or is that something else? I don't know. Anyway, he was born in Venice in the Vatican Republic, now Italy, in 1714. In 1904, George Gamow, a Ukrainian-born American nuclear physicist and the writer of the Big Bang Theory, DNA, was born in Odessa, Russian Empire. He died in 1968. What an absolute legend that man was. He knew more about science than most people could possibly ever know. In 1963, Jason Newsted, American heavy metal bassist with, among others, Metallica. He was there for, what did he join in 1986? He left in 2003, I believe, so getting on for 17 years. Yeah, he was there for some of their greatest albums. And Justice for All, the Black Album, Loaded Reloaded. He was there for some great albums. And some, perhaps not the best. Anyway, that's Jason Newsted. People who died: Louis Bachelor, American mobster, murdering, executed at the age of 47 in 1944. In 1993, John Candy, American actor, SCTV, Uncle Buck. And what was the other one he was in? He was definitely in one with Macaulay Culkin. Was that Uncle Buck? Could have been. Might be thinking of a different film. He was a very funny man. He died of a heart attack, only 43. And in 2019, Keith Flint, English singer, musician, and dancer with The Prodigy, found dead after committing suicide at 49. And then, this year, 2020, an absolute legend, Australian leg spinner cricketer, died of a heart attack on holiday in Thailand. He owned the ball of the century against Mike Gattings, first ball of his Australian debut. The mighty Shane Warne. I think he was 51. What? But he's one of those, you know, you have pinnacles of sport. You have Pele, you have Michael Jordan, you have Shane Warne. Surely has to be, doesn't it? What an absolute, you know, he is one of these people who go beyond just that sport. People know them just by the name, think, oh yeah, cricketer Shane Warne. Sadly, he died this year. Anyway, let's move on to what's happened then, including many inaugurations. Well, in 51, it still sounds weird saying 51 as a year, but in the year 51, Nero, later to become Roman Emperor, is given the title Principus Inventius, head of the youth. In 1215, King John of England makes the oath to the Pope as a crusader to gain the support of Innocent III. In 1522, Anne Boleyn makes her debut as an at the English court at the Green Castle pageant. In 1665, English King Charles II declares war on the Netherlands. In 1699, the Jews are expelled from Lübeck in Germany. In 1774, first sighting of Orion's Nebula by William Herschel. In 1776, American War of Independence, the Americans captured Doncaster Heights, dominating Port Boston, Massachusetts. In 1790, France is divided into 83 departments, which cut across the former provinces in an attempt to dislodge regional loyalties based on noble ownership and land. Yeah, that went well. In 1791, President Washington calls the first US Senate into its first special session. In 1993, Washington's second inauguration as US President, shorter speech, only 133 words. In 1979, John Adams inaugurated as the second President of the United States. Thomas Jefferson, second Vice President. In 1798, Catholic women forced to do penance for kindling Sabbath fires for the Jews. How dare she? In 1801, Thomas Jefferson is the first US President to be inaugurated at Washington, D.C. In 1809, James Madison becomes the first US President inaugurated in American-made clothes. In 1917, James Monroe is inaugurated as the fifth President of the United States. In 1825, John Quincy Adams inaugurated as the sixth US President. In 2029, Andrew Jackson inaugurated as the seventh US President. In 1835, US HMS Beagle moves into the Bay of Conception in Chile. In 1837, Martin Van Buren inaugurated as the 8th President of the United States. In 1841, the longest US presidential inauguration speech, 8,443 words by William Henry Harrison. And I bet after about 1,000 people were thinking, are you fucking joking? Shut the fuck up. And he went on and on. I bet people were walking away by the end. Like, who can hear him? There was no microphones, were there? Maybe that's why it took so long. In 1845, James K. Pollock inaugurated as the 11th US President. In 1849, the US President Zachary Taylor delays his swearing in and inauguration ceremony for one day due to the religious reasons, raising to a false belief by some that Senator David Atkinson, President pro tempore, technically assumed the head office of president for one day. Didn't they? In 1861, Conference State adopts the Stars and Bars flag US Civil War. In 1861, Abraham Lincoln is inaugurated as the 16th US President. In 1865, Abraham Lincoln is inaugurated for his second term as US President. The man who would assassinate him weeks later, John White Booth, is photographed attending the inauguration. In 1869, Ulysses S. Grant inaugurated as the 18th President. And in 1881, James A. Garfield inaugurated as the 20th President. In 1885, Grover Cleveland inaugurated as the first US Democratic President since the Civil War. In 1886, Benjamin Harrison inaugurated as the 23rd. In 1890, longest bridge in Great Britain, the Ford Bridge Railway, at 171,710 feet in length, is opened in Scotland by the Prince of Wales, later King Edward VII. In 1893, Grover Cleveland, Democrat, inaugurated as the 24th US President. It's his second term, but he is the 22nd and the 24th because Benjamin Harrison was president with him. How exciting. In 1894, the Great Fire of Shanghai, over 1,000 buildings destroyed. In 1897, William McKinley inaugurated as the 25th US President. In 1899, Cyclone Mahina sweeps in north of Cooktown, Queensland, with a 12-meter wave that reaches up to 5 kilometers inland. Over 300 people died. In 1901, William McKinley inaugurated as his second term as US President. Theodore Roosevelt serves as Vice President. In 1908, primary school catches fire in Collingwood, Ohio. 180 people were killed. In 1909, William Howard Taft inaugurated as the 27th President during 10-inch snowstorm. In 1913, Woodrow Wilson inaugurated as the 28th US President. In 1921, William G. Harding is inaugurated as the 29th President of the United States. In 1923, Vladimir Lenin's last article in Pravda about Soviet bureaucracy is published. In 1924, Happy Birthday to You, published by Clayton Sonny. In 1925, US President Coolidge inaugurated broadcast live on 21 radio stations as the first one to go live onto radio. In 1929, Halbert Hoover inaugurated as the 35th US president. In 1930, terrible floods ransacked Languedoc and the surrounds in southwest France, resulting in 12 departments being submerged by water and causing the death of over 700 people. That is one hell of a flood. Where was Noah? Where was he? Maybe they've been evil. God didn't like him. In 1933, possibly America's greatest ever president, Franklin D. Roosevelt, inaugurated, I think, 32nd US president, pledged to pull the US out of the Depression. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. Allegedly. In 1936, the first flight of the airship Hindenburg at Friedrichshafen in Germany. In 1941, Serbian Prince Paul visits Adolf Hitler. In 1941, the United Kingdom launches Operation Claymore on the Lofton Islands during the Second World War, wherever they are. In 1943, Transport 50 departs with French Jews to Maidendeck and Sobibor. In 1941, the first US bombing of Berlin. In 1944, anti-German strikes in northern Italy. In 1945, Finland declares war on Nazi Germany. In 1945, United Kingdom's Princess Elizabeth, later Queen Elizabeth II, you might have heard of her, quite famous, joins the British Auxiliary Transport Service as a driver. In 1965, David Attenborough becomes the new controller of BBC Two. David Attenborough, just in case you don't know, is still around. He is still making natural history. He is the greatest broadcaster ever. Got to love a bit of Attenborough. In 1966, North Sea gas first pumped ashore by BP. In 1969, London's East End gang bosses, twins Ronnie and Reggie Kray, are found guilty of murder. Both later die in captivity. In 1972, Abercorn restaurant bombing. A bomb explodes in a crowded restaurant in Belfast, killing 2 civilians and wounding 130. In 1974, Harold Wilson replaces resigned Edward Heath as Prime Minister. In 1977, earthquake in Romania kills 1,541. In 1949, US Voyager 1 photos reveal Jupiter's rings. In 1980, Robert Mugabe, Zimbabwe's African National Union Patriotic Front, comes to power, winning the parliamentary election in Zimbabwe, making Mugabe Zimbabwe's first black prime minister, and he will certainly be remembered. In 1983, In 1983, US Public Health Services published the guidelines of blood donors and AIDS. In 1985, World War II veteran returns to the bridge over the River Kwai. In 1989, the Louvre Pyramid, designed by IMP, is inaugurated by French President Francois Mitterrand in Paris. In 1990, US 65th Manned Space Mission, STS-38 Atlantis 6, returns from space. In 1984, 4 Arab terrorists found guilty of bombing the World Trade Center. In 1995, a blind teenager receives a bionic eye at a Washington hospital. In 2001, an IRA detonated a bomb in front of the television center in London, injuring 11. In 2006, final contact attempt with Pilot 10 by a Deep Space Network, no response. How dare it? In 2009, International Criminal Court issues an arrest warrant for Sudanese President Omar Hassan al-Bashir for war crimes and crimes against humanity in Dufar, becoming the first sitting head of state to be indicted. I think we might have another one being indicted for war crimes very soon. Let's see. I will tell you if it happens. Could happen in the future on this channel. His name's Vlad, that's all I'm saying. In 2012, munition dumps explodes and killed at least 250 people in the Republic of Congo. In 2012, Vladimir Putin wins Russian presidential elections amid allegations of voter fraud. Wow, who would have thought it? Hey, you know that Vlad I was speaking about? Anyway, in 2013, 40 Syrian soldiers are killed in an ambush in western Iraq. In 2013, the Papal Conclave begins to select the successor for Pope Benedict XVIII, the 265th Pope. In 2013, British TV drama Broadchurch, created by Chris Chibnall, starring David Tennant and Olivia Colman, premieres on ITV. Also, it has the Doctor in. The current Doctor, who is Julie Whittaker. Of course, she was the mother of the child who died. Sorry for ruining that bit for you. Not really ruining it for you, because that's what happened in it. It's a police drama about a murder boy. So, even ruining even more. In 2018, the world's worst hysteria outbreak, suspected of killing 180, tracked to processed meat factory in Polokwane in South Africa. Definitely didn't say that right, never mind. In 2018, former Russian spy Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia Skripal are poisoned by a nerve agent in Salisbury in England. In 2020, a new study confirms humans cause climate change did make the 2020 Australian bushfire season worse, published by the World Weather Attributions. Who knew? In 2020, once in a century, winter in Moscow, the hottest in 140 years, with average temperatures of 7.5 centigrade or 13.5 Fahrenheit, with virtually no snow. In 2020, Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte announced all sport in Italy will be played behind closed doors for at least a month in an effort to contain COVID-19. Going back to the previous winter snow in Moscow, if that happened in 1941, Germany probably would have won the Second World War. But never mind, eh? There you go. It didn't, they didn't, we won, who knew? In 2022, 4 tons of rocket debris crashes into the far side of the moon. Confirmed boosters from China's Chang'e 5 T1 mission, the first unintentional collision with the moon. This has been the 4th of March. This has been on this day. Bit of a long one, that. Lots of facts there. Hope you enjoyed it. See you, pals. Boom.